Well, now to a subject that's become a flashpoint in the midterm election, sanctuary cities.
The topic picked up fresh attention late this week when Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey ordered a message displayed in police cars advising immigrants of their rights. Today, the Police Federation weighed in with a candidate for governor by their side.
John Croman's here with that story tonight. John?
Well, the Minneapolis Police Federation endorsed Jeff Johnson today, who then used it as a platform to go after his opponent Tim Walz on the issue of separation laws, also known as sanctuary laws. The Police Federation head Bob Kroll was unhappy with the placards that went into those patrol cars, written both in Spanish and English, advising immigrants of their rights. Walz says he's fine with what Minneapolis and St. Paul have done, telling officers that their job is to enforce state and local laws rather than serving as an extension of ICE. But Johnson warned that policy will have an unintended impact.
We become essentially the safe space, the magnet for every illegal immigrant who wants to be protected from the federal government in any way. And that means not just illegal immigrants who wandered over the border, this means criminals.
It would just mean that our local law enforcement, our local police officers would not be asking for someone's immigration status. It would simply be enforcing our laws, which makes us all safer because then everyone feels like they can call the police regardless of their status.
Jeff Johnson says he doesn't buy the argument that undocumented immigrants are afraid to call police. Tim Walz was traveling up north today and told us by phone that if someone commits a violent crime in Minnesota, in his words, they're going to go to prison no matter who they are. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, John.